this is Iris from the Warriors Walk, and I have a message for you. My last video was really hard, was extremely hard to do. And after I did that video, a friend of mine said, okay, so you've told us that you're healing. We need to know how you're healing. And that was a really good question, right? I mean, it's legit, but to be honest, I didn't have a lot of words. I just knew that I've been digging into prayer and talking to Jesus, and I've been reading the Bible, but there was still parts of me that weren't healing, and I didn't even realize that until I did that video. Actually, there were things that came out after that video that almost like, you know, it was almost like it got loose, from where it was, and it got wedged out. It was like God had seriously dug open and picked out the hurt and all that came with it. And all of a sudden now that hurt was right here. Because even though I thought I was doing all this healing, and not that I hadn't really gotten to the root of it as much as I thought I had. I hadn't really experienced or started to realize all the healing that needed to get done at that time, right? Or that needs to get done now, because that's just the season I'm in right now. So this message is going to be called Deep Healing, because after I did that video, it led me to tears upon tears and anger that I didn't know was still there. So then my prayer began to change, and my prayer became, God, help me heal the little girl inside of me that's still hurting, that's still angry, that help me understand where this anger is coming from, because I thought I had left that behind. Like I had moved on, and yeah, I still felt some pain and some of it. What I realized is that my pain from my past has affected everything I've done in my future. Everything I've done in my life since then. Coming to raising my kids, the relationships I was having, the things that I was doing was all being affected by this little girl who had not healed, this little girl inside me that had not healed. And I can guarantee you, if you take a moment and think about some of the things that you've done in your life since then, since the hurt, since the pain, you will come to the same place that I have, the same realization that I did, which was that I had not healed from the root, from the cause of the pain. I had began to like trim the branches off of some of the stuff that was coming to the surface. But I had not dealt with the root cause of the problem. That's like shaving versus waxing, right? Because shaving just takes off what's on the top. Waxing, which is painful, pulls it from the root. That's like going to your garden and pulling and mowing it versus going down and pulling the weeds out by the root. And it takes more work. It takes more work to get in to the root. So I started talking to Jesus again, and I'm like, okay, so now this fresh anger is in me. This fresh bitterness is in me. This fresh hurt and pain is in me. Once I did that video, it was here. It was literally here, and I could not swallow it back down. I could not tuck it back in to where it came from. And the truth is, I don't want to, because I am done letting my past take control of my future. I am done letting my past take control over what's happening today. I am done with my past. I want to be healed, not from the surface, not from what everybody can see, but I want to be healed way deep down inside me. So I started doing some research. I started doing some digging. Like, how do I get there, Jesus? How do I get there? And I cried. I'm like, I know I need to heal, but I don't know how. And let me tell you something about our Jesus. Let me tell you about how good he is. When you reach out to him right from your heart, when you genuinely talk to Jesus, and it don't need to be God our Father, blah, blah, blah. No, it could be like, Jesus, man, I need some help, Jesus. Like, God, I need you right now. He needs the real you. He needs your heart to cry out to him. And watch how he steps in. He surrounded me by a new coworker who introduced me to a book. The book is just about just the things that pop up in your life that you don't realize what's going on or why it's there. It's a book by Andy. Now I'm gonna forget it, but I'll put it in the tagline so that you guys can look it up. But basically, he talks about how that sometimes you'll be talking and something will come out, or a bit of angerness or bitterness will come out, and you'll be like, where did that come from? And he talks about how you need to get into the root and figure out where that past pain is popping out like a whack-a-mole in your life, and how not to just whack it down, but to pull it out from the root. And then I got online and got on YouTube, because let me tell you, YouTube is full of information, not just how to cut your hair and how to dye your hair, but it's full of how to, or it's full of just knowledge of people sharing. So I got on, and I right on time, because that's how God works. I was having a hard day because realizing that I have to deal with the pain of all the things that have happened to me, and actually deal with it, like cry about it, allow myself to acknowledge that pain that happened, has had me, and to be honest, in a kind of a funk, a depression. And so I was having a hard time the other day, and I turned on YouTube, and I thought, well, I'll just throw on some worship music. I'll just look to see what is what. And out of nowhere, and I mean out of nowhere, because this is not a pastor I've ever followed before or even heard speak before. But here he was on my homepage, the second video up, and it was called When Past Hurt Still Hurts. And his name was Pastor Sean Johnson. And let me explain something to you. I have a hard time hearing a message about hurt and pain and forgiveness from someone who may not have had the experiences I had, right? Because there's hurt, right, from your past where, oh, my brother picked on me, or I got teased, and that, and not to belittle that, but there's different types of hurt. And I, God knowing who I am, needed to hear something from someone who survived the things that I did. And there he was. And I cried through his sermon, and I've listened to it at least 4 or 5 times since then, and taken notes. And I thought, this is how you heal. This is where it needs to, all this stuff of the book, this is where you need to heal from. You need to heal from the inside out. You can't continue to shave. You have to pull it out from the root. You can't continue to leave those weeds in your grass. You have to go in and dig in and pull it out from the root. And so here I am, pulling it out from the root. Does it feel good? No, it does not feel good. So here's some notes that I took, and I want to share them with you. He talks about, and I'm also going to share his link on the bottom as well, so that you can know exactly who he is, and maybe watch it for yourself so that you can see what he's about. But he talks about this. He goes, here, he says, forgiveness is not just the, okay, I forgive you kind of thing. Not when the pain is root deep. Forgiveness is a process. Okay, so what's the process? The process is, first, you have to acknowledge the hurt. You cannot continue to pretend that it didn't hurt you or that it wasn't as bad as it was. You can't continue to pretend that it didn't happen. You have to face it face to face and acknowledge that it happened and that it hurts. So that was hard, okay? For me anyway, because I've been tucking it down and acting like it wasn't that big of a deal. I've been not really talking about it. I'd been, moving on and being this strong woman who just survived it all, but I wasn't living. I haven't been living. My whole life has just been on survival mode. That's not the mode Jesus intended us to live on. Then he talks about forgiveness. And forgiveness is freedom. Okay? And I know forgiving someone that's hurt you, especially when it's root deep, when they damage you and you've been walking around with it for so long, is hard. But forgiveness is your key to freedom. It is time for you to get them out of jail. Come out of the jail of bitterness, come out of the jail of hurt, of pain, of sorrow. It's time of anger. It's time for you to come out of that jail. And your first key to coming out of the jail is forgiving. And the forgiveness is not as much as about them as it is about you, because you need to be set free from it so that your future and your present doesn't continue to be affected by it. So you need to forgive. Luke 4:18 says he came to set the captives free. So you ask God to teach you about forgiveness. I mean, forgiveness is so important that it's part of the Lord's Prayer. Forgive us as we forgive our trespassers. Surrender your right to revenge. And that's a hard one too. And I didn't think about it the way he put it, but he was really good at explaining how we continue to hold on to it, and we, serve revenge on a platter. And it's simple as this. Like, if you tell somebody, I know you hurt me, I forgive you, but I'm not forgetting. And every time you talk to that person, you bring it up again in conversation, or you kind of allude to it. Or you just build this wall around yourself and you decide, yeah, you go ahead. I don't want nothing to do with you. That's not forgiving. Now, I'm not saying you have to invite them all into your life again. I am saying, however, that there can't be this wall, because if you're not forgiving, you're not receiving it either. The other thing he said, and I can wholeheartedly say that this works 110%, and it is hard to do, is pray for them. Now, I was deeply hurt not too long ago by someone I truly cared about. My healing came in my prayer for them. Now, I didn't think about the people of my past, to be honest. I didn't think they needed forgiving, because I walked past it. I was done with it. I was healed from it. What God showed me just recently, I am not healed from it. That is why my life, my relationships are not going the way they should, because I'm still hurting. So now I have to go back there and pray for these people, pray for the ones that hurt me, and forgive them so that I can be free, because my future will no longer be dictated by my past. And the other thing he says is 5 is be open to reconciliation. Now, he's really clear on this point, and he says this. He says, that doesn't mean that they become a whole part of your life again. It just means that you are open to some sort of fellowship with them. Now, fellowship, again, is not a mandatory process. But you need to, it needs to come. Fellowship does only and can only come when the party that needs forgiveness is truly sorry about what they've done, right? That the party that you are letting back into your life is truly sorry about what they've done. And this is how reconciliation can happen. But for me, that's going to be a really hard one. I mean, that truly is a really hard one, because I build walls. Like, I build straight up walls around myself. And so this is talking about taking down these walls and allowing people to be part of my life that I have kept out of my life for a lot of years. So that step is going to be rough. But I feel like if I did 1 through 3 and 1 through 4, then maybe I can get there. So, but again, I'm not healed. I'm going through this journey. I'm walking through this journey. And the thing that he said, and I appreciate it, it's not a one and done thing, right? You don't pray one prayer. You don't acknowledge the hurt one time. You don't forgive them. You don't say a prayer of forgiveness and forgive them one time, and that's it. All's done. We golden. It's not one of those things. It's a continuing process. It's every time a weed of pain pops up, you don't mow it over, you pull it out by the root and you deal with it. You deal with it. You acknowledge the pain. You forgive the person. You surrender the right for revenge, and you pray for them, and you open the door for reconciliation if that person does come to you and truly follow the steps and ask for forgiveness. That's what he said. He said the person that you decide to reconcile with needs to actually be sorry. There needs to be change in their behavior. But it is okay to decide, I forgive them. I wish them well. I pray for them. But they no longer get to have an active participation in my life. That's okay. As long as you've released the bitterness. As long as that's not done in any type of angry way, as far as, like you're just doing it because you don't want, you still hate them or angry with them or whatever the case that may be. If it's for your own safety, then please make sure you don't bring that person back into your life. If it's your own mental safety, if it's your physical and emotional safety that you need to have happen, it's okay to forgive them from afar. I just need to make sure you know that. Do not let somebody in that's just going to continue to tear you down. It is okay to forgive them. It is okay to acknowledge the hurt. It's okay to do all those things, but do not allow that to continue to happen. And again, Pastor Sean Johnson, I'll put the link, really does a good job of doing all this and talking about this. It really did so much for me. So I pray that you follow that link and you watch that video and it helps you the way it helped me. I pray this video does the same for you. At least we're walking this journey together, and I want to make sure that you know that you're not alone. I'm not alone. There's a lot of people out here walking and needing forgiveness and needing to heal from past hurt. And we all walking this together. Going through this journey will feel like crossing like water rapids that are just coming. And you're not going to be in a raft or a boat. You're going to be on one of those paddle boards where you stand and you have to, paddle and keep your balance. And this is why we need Jesus, because we're going to fall. We're going to fall into that water. We're going to fall into that water and maybe hang on to that hurt a little longer than we need to. Or we're going to rejudge it and relive it all over again. And we need to get back up and talk to Jesus again. We need to get back up and go continue the process. This process won't be easy because we have been carrying it around for so many years. We cannot expect it to be a one and done, or that once you go through it, it'll be over. No, because weeds continue to pop out. And the more we deal with them, the less they'll be. Like when you have your backyard and a weed comes out, what do? After you've done weeded and done all that good stuff, now what you need to do to maintain is get one of those spray bottles that kill the weed. And that's the same thing that we need to do in our lives. We need to you get Jesus and his Holy Spirit and spray it all over that weed. We need to, cover it with forgiveness, and we need to cover it with Jesus. We need to cover it with his love and his mercy, and we need to stand tall in his strength. Jesus says in 2 Corinthians 12, 9, 11, it says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness." Because we are going to go through some real weak times as we go through this healing. There's going to be moments where we're feeling that hurt like it's just happened. And that is when we call on him. And he says, "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest into me." So when we call out to him, God's going to come into his power, his strength will get us back on that paddleboard, will get us across that raging water that we're going through. God, and only God can do that for us. Only God can heal the little person inside of us, or the little people inside of us that were hurt back when we were kids. And if your hurt was recent, God, it doesn't matter. God could still heal you from it. In 10, he says, "That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in my weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." So don't shy away from the pain that will come. Don't shy away from the adversity that may even come when you try to reach out, if you need to reach out, or whatever it is that healing needs to be for you. Because when you are weak, he is strong. In 2 Corinthians 13:11, it says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, rejoice. Strive for full restoration." That is what we're doing. We are striving for full restoration. Encourage one another. I pray that this is encouraging you. Be of one mind and live in peace. And the God of love and peace will be with you. We will not be on this journey alone. We will not be on this journey alone. Pastor Sean Johnson, on his sermon, posts this prayer, and I just want to read it to you. And it says, and I really believe that you should record it or write it down, okay? It says, "God, I'm ready to stop pretending like the pain in my past is not affecting my present. Please forgive me for holding on to unforgiveness. Today, I declare I am getting rid of this unforgiveness and letting go of this hurt and anger. I completely forgive," and there's a blank space. You fill it in with whoever you need to fill it in with. "I completely forgive in Jesus' name," because there's nothing more powerful than his name. "And I thank you that you are healing these wounds that were inflicted. I thank you that you are making me whole and setting me free. And I declare that I am giving up my right to judge or punish this person or these people. I completely forgive. It's all in your hands now. In Jesus' name, amen." Warriors, we are all walking with some kind of pain or hurt that we may be carrying like a bowling pin. It is time to break the chains free. It is time to let go. God says, "I am knocking on the door." And if we let him in, wholeheartedly let him in, he will free us from the pain, from the hurt, from the anger. He will free us from whatever is keeping us from living the best life that he has for us, for our purpose. So I pray this video does just move you to begin your healing. I pray this video encourages you to walk this walk with me and to keep walking, warriors. This is Iris from the Warriors Walk. Be blessed, be a blessing, and keep walking, warriors. Keep walking.